Now, what does that mean? That means that everything is abundant. Okay, yes, there is a system in place, and yes, people control that system. Okay, and systems are here for a reason as well. Okay, so don't get mad at the system. You have to learn how to work within the system. And within the system, you have this. Okay, you have this in the system. Okay, so this is the kingdom. You have your own kingdom. The kingdom is within, it's within everyone. But it's your responsibility to learn how to work the kingdom, or let's say it another way, to work from the kingdom. Okay, a lot of people are under the misconception that they need to go out there to look for things, right? There is no out there out there. Okay, everything is in here. Okay, Jesus Christ told you that the kingdom is within. Okay, he wasn't kidding. It's a thing. Okay, it's a thing. The kingdom is within. Now, your birthright is abundance. Good morning, Costas. Good morning. Good morning, Jay. So, your birthright is abundance because everything is abundant. When animals are born into the animal kingdom, they have everything they need to survive. And you have everything you need to survive. Okay. Money's out there, food is out there, resources are out there. Okay, there's tons and tons of new cars out there, right? Go look at the dealerships, they're full of cars, right? So there's an abundance of cars, there's an abundance of money, there's an abundance of everything. Okay, but human beings will tell you, oh no, there's a lack. Okay, now there were times in the world when things were, let's say in short supply. Okay, but even when times were hard, if you go back and you look at the Depression in the 20s in America, people were thriving in the Depression. Okay, I don't know, this is kind of old school, but there was this TV show called The Waltons, and it was made during the Depression. And what was so interesting about watching this TV show, Costas, thank you. Hey, Brandy, good morning. So what was so special about this TV show was it centered around a family that was thriving during the Depression. Okay, and the basis of everything was that they had a lot of love. Okay, they had a lot of love and they came together as a family during a very, very hard time, which was the Depression. But you saw that these people were thriving. They weren't feeling sorry for themselves. They weren't upset because a depression was happening. No, they were happy. Okay, and I think I mentioned on the live earlier in the week, right, that when I was engaged and I didn't have anything, but I was engaged, my fiance and I caught the bus. We had bus passes. We didn't have anything, but we were happy. Okay. Then later on, when life got busy, responsibilities happened. I started building companies, and my fiance went on her way and did her thing and built her family. And then things got stressful for both of us, right? Because she had her family to take care of, and she had those responsibilities. I had business responsibilities that I had to take care of. So I took care of my stuff, she took care of hers, and respectively, and all of that. But what I'm saying is, when you have very little responsibility, it's easy to be happy. The challenge comes when you have a lot of responsibilities and then try to be happy, right? Why is that? It's because your focus is now going like this. Your focus is going like that. Okay, your focus is going like this. When you don't have anything, right, you have very little to split your focus on. So all of your focus can be on your relationship. All of your focus can be on happiness. It's easy, right? But then, when children come into the world, now you have responsibilities, right? Now you have to split your focus. Now it's not just about you and your husband or you and your wife. It's about you, the wife, the kids. It's about everything. The job, it's about everything. So everything is going after your attention. And what do we say about attention? Okay. Energy goes where attention flows. Okay. So where you place your attention, whatever you place your attention on starts to grow. It starts to manifest. It starts to come into the world. Okay, so if you're focused on finance, okay, let's say you're focused on money. Money starts to grow. Money starts to grow. Now, what happens if you're single and you're doing money? You're focused on money. Money starts to grow and you start accumulating money. Okay, now what happens when instead of single, like you say, okay, now I have money, now I'm going to get married and we have children. Oh, now your focus starts to split like that. Okay, see, so that's what happens. Now, the person who can master their attention, let's say it another way, the person who can master their focus. If you can master your focus, okay, and apply that focus. So applying focus means to say that, okay, my focus is going there, it's going there, it's going there. And when you can apply your focus like that, now when you do meditation, you can do that. Okay, when you read affirmations all the time, your subconscious can do that. You can apply your focus at will. Okay, apply it there, apply it here, apply it over there, wherever you want to apply it. Okay, but it's easier, much easier when you condition your subconscious. So how do you condition your subconscious? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization, all day long. Your subconscious is like a muscle. You have to develop it, okay? Everything in life starts small and grows. Everything. It's like planting a seed. You plant a seed, you're not going to dig it up every day to see if it's growing, right? You plant the seed, and what do? You have faith. You have faith that the seed will grow. So you water it, you fertilize the ground, you do all of that, right? And pretty soon you see that shoot come up. And you go, wow, okay, there's the sprout. Now you know, now you have evidence. Now you have evidence of things to come, right? It's coming up out of the ground now. It's going to grow. And then you keep going. A lot of us lose faith because we cannot see results yet. If you're not seeing results yet, that's when you have to exercise faith. So faith is believing in the unseen. Faith is knowing like you know something good is bound to happen. Something good, it's gonna happen. When you plant the seed in the garden, you have to know like you know it's gonna sprout. And then when it sprouts, right, that's confirmation. You go, yeah, look, it's sprouting, yeah, and then you get excited about it. But before it starts to sprout, you have to have faith. So faith comes first. If you don't have faith, if you haven't built your faith, if you haven't exercised your faith, so you have to exercise your faith. You have to practice having faith. Faith is not something that's easily attainable right away like this. And okay, I have faith, I have faith, I have faith. I know a lot of people that say that they have faith. A lot of my clients, when they first come to me, they say they have faith. And then I test them on it. I don't tell them I'm testing them, but I do some tests on them. I ask them some questions. Sometimes I bring up the questions separately in between things, because then there's no way that they would know that I'm testing them. And when I test them, I find out, wow, okay, they don't have very much faith. Okay, so it tells me what I need to work on with them. Now, if I need to build their faith, then that's what I do. Okay, but here's the thing: faith is built like anything else. It starts small, and then it grows. It starts small, and then it grows. Just like the seed. Okay, when you plant a corn seed, you plant it. You're not going to dig it up every day to check if it's growing, right? You're going to have faith. So faith is like that. You have to exercise faith. Okay, how do you do that? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization, all day long. It's important. Now, if you're happy with your life, if you're happy the way things are going, then no problem. Just keep doing that. Whatever you're doing is working. Okay? Manifestation happens whether you believe it or not. You don't have to believe in it. It's not a belief system. It's the result of your actions. So manifestation is a fancy way of saying, well, I got this because I did this. But here's the thing, right? 90 to 95% of what you do is subconscious activity. You're doing it automatically. It's programmed into you. Or let's say it another way, you have programmed yourself to do these things through your thoughts and actions. Now, a belief is a thought you keep thinking. When you keep thinking thoughts, it goes into your subconscious as a belief. Once it's there as a belief, it comes back to you as a program. It gets repeated. Okay, subconscious learns in repetition. And the subconscious also provides repetition. Because you could be stuck in a subconscious loop. So there's a lot of people out there selling courses. So, I don't have a course to sell. I'm not here to sell you anything. So don't wait for the sales pitch. There's no sales pitch. Okay, this is my community service. And I'm going to break things down for you the way very few people are doing online. And the reason why they don't do it is because if they broke it down for you and told you, you wouldn't need them. So I'm hoping that you don't need me, okay? And this is why I'm telling you everything. Okay, I'm telling you the back end. Now the only difference between success in what I'm telling you and no success with what I'm telling you is you just have to do the things. The affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Now, how many people are going to do that? The answer is surprising. Okay, just a small percentage. Single digit percentage. It doesn't even go into double digits. It's not even 10% of the people. There's 8 billion people on the planet. Out of that 8 billion people, what percentage makes up the super rich? 1%. 1%. You always hear that, right? The 1%ers, the billionaires, the 1%ers. Okay, right under them, how many are multi-millionaires? There's a larger amount. But here's the good news. In this day and age with technology, it's easier to become a billionaire than a millionaire. It's easier because of numbers. Okay, because you can be on social media and hit a larger number of people. When you make sales on a website, your website is out there in the world. It's not just in your neighborhood. It's not just on your block. It's not just like the neighborhood store on your block. They only sell to the neighborhood people. But when you sell online, guess what happens? You're selling to the world. You just have to get the word out. So it's easier to become a billionaire. Now, all of that being said, how many people are willing to write out their affirmation every day? How many people are willing to do 10 minutes of meditation every day? How many people are willing to do their vocalization exercise every day? And how many people are willing to do their visualization every day? You can actually do your visualization in your meditation. Okay, but visualization is an ongoing process. You don't just visualize at one point in your day. You visualize all day long. First, you have to see yourself worthy. You have to visualize yourself worthy. Then you have to keep visualizing where you see yourself. What's the destination? What's the final outcome? What's the end result? Can you see it? Is it clear? These are the questions you have to ask yourself. So when you're asking yourself these questions, yesterday we were talking about asking the subconscious questions, okay? But when you are asking yourself questions, yourself is obligated to answer. Now, human beings have the ability to observe themselves. Okay, you have that ability to observe yourself. So here's another thing Think about it. If you can observe yourself thinking, if you can observe yourself speaking, if you can observe the thought coming before you think it, who's doing the observing? Right? Okay. Everything is energy. Everything. Today we're talking about your birthright of abundance. When animals are born in the wild, not in captivity, in the wild, everything is provided for them. Everything. The only thing that really gets in their way is man, right? Because everything is there. Everything they need to be healthy, everything they need to prosper. Humans are no different. But then you have other humans, right, that are trying to organize things, right? Harvest resources to make it a challenge, right? So that you have to either buy their product or buy the resources from them, or they try to control whatever they can control. And then they make you think that you are less than. Why? So then you begin thinking that things are in lack or that things are limited, when the reality is things are abundant. And you are abundant. But you're abundant in here. The kingdom is within. So you're abundant, but you are abundant in here. Nature produces more than enough. There's more than enough gold. There's more than enough oil. There's more than enough coal. There's more. Okay. Energy is infinite. It transforms, but it never disappears. So you always have energy. When are you depleted of energy? Well, when you eat too much, right? When you don't exercise, when you become lethargic, when you just, like that. So what's the solution? Be more energetic, eat better things, right? Not too much starch, not too much sugar, that kind of stuff. And when that happens, what happens? You start to balance. And when you start to balance, what happens? Everything is automatic. And now you're back in abundance. So a lot of the times what we see is not so much what you need to add to yourself, it's what you need to take away to put yourself back in balance. You don't need to add so many things to yourself. You need to take away the stress. Okay? If it's energy, take away the carbs. Take away the sugar. Okay? When you do those things, energy comes back. Okay? What else is the problem? Anxiety? Take away the anxiety. Identify first what it is that's making you anxious. A lot of people aren't aware of what specifically it is that's making them anxious. They don't know. Why? Because so many things make you anxious now. So now you need to identify it and isolate it. Because if you can identify what's wrong, you can fix it. If you can't identify what's wrong, you can't fix it. Some people think it's the system. My friend Costas over here from Greece, is always asking me about the matrix. You don't have to exit the matrix. You can live in the matrix. You can thrive in the matrix. You can be happy in the matrix. You can make the matrix work for you. You don't need to exit the matrix. You're in the matrix for a reason. The matrix is here for a reason. But when you learn these universal laws, more specifically when you learn how to apply these universal laws in your life, you will receive abundance. Now, sometimes you have to be patient. Sometimes you have to wait. Sometimes it happens like this, and sometimes you have to wait. But when you wait, things come to you. When you're patient, right? So what are we taught to do? We're taught to push, take action, work hard. You don't always have to work hard. I don't work hard. I work long, but I don't work hard. Long is not hard to me. Okay, I work with my mind. Other people work with their hands. Some people do manual labor. To me, that's hard. That's hard work. Now, some people enjoy that kind of work. And if you enjoy that kind of work, then it's easy for you. It depends what you do. The dynamics are always different. But even with something demanding like that, you don't have to make it hard. If you look at it as hard, it will be hard. If you look at it as easy, it will be easy. I know a lot of guys that work construction and they operate heavy equipment. You know, they work construction, they operate heavy equipment, but they have fun doing it. They love it. To them, it's not hard work. It's only hard when you frame it that way. It's only difficult and you only suffer when you frame it that way. Gautama Buddha told us, right? That when you see the world as an illusion, you escape suffering. And what he's really saying is when you see the world for what it is, you will escape suffering. Why? Because if you're looking at the distractions, if you're getting pulled into the distractions, you will suffer. You know, we had a day this week where we were talking about money, worshiping money. When you worship money, you will suffer. Okay? Worshiping money, making money your God, you will suffer. But when you realize that everything happens from in here, and when you realize that all you need to do is make a change in here, how you do things, how you believe things to be. When you make that change, everything shifts. Everything shifts. And all you have to do is shift your beliefs. Okay, so let's look at the tree, right? Your beliefs, the roots of the tree. Okay, the roots are your subconscious beliefs, the roots of the tree. The trunk of the tree, the body of the tree is your paradigm, the way you see the world, your attitude based upon what you believe. Okay, that's the body of the tree, the trunk of the tree. Now up here on the branches, there's the fruits of the tree. Right? You shall know them by their fruits. What are the fruits of the tree? The fruits of the tree are your actions. Whenever you execute an action, you get a result. Can you change the action, the fruits? Can you just randomly do the fruits? Yeah, sure. But unless you do them in repetition, they won't go down to the roots in memory. They're not committed to memory. Okay. So what happens is they just become random actions and you get random results. The results don't last. This is like we were talking about the other day about people that go to the gym right after New Year's, right? And by March, half of those people are gone. They're not in the gym anymore. Why? Because they've changed again. See? So, anyway, but that's, that's the thing, right? So, if you're having difficulty getting a result, because we do that, right? So we do random acts thinking that, okay, we're going to do this, but we don't put them in our belief system first. We don't put it in, we don't make it a habit first. We don't make it a belief first. We just do a random action. And that's the definition of insanity. Expecting a different result by doing the same thing over and over and over. Now, you can get a different result if you change the action, the fruits, right? But you can't change the fruits into lasting actions because they're not in the subconscious yet. That's why. That's why. But once you do that, okay, and the subconscious learns a repetition, so you're going to have to do it over and over. This is why routines are important, okay? Routines. Now, you set up routines for things that are already in your subconscious. You set up a routine, right? So get up, go in the bathroom, brush your teeth, then do this, then do this, then do that, then go in the kitchen, make a cup of coffee, then do that, whatever that is, whatever your routine is. But you stick to the routine. Why do you stick to the routine? Because when you do the routine for a couple of weeks, everything starts to shift. Right? Now you're doing the routine for a couple of weeks. Pretty soon you don't have to follow the outline anymore because you make an outline, you write it down. And this is another thing. People don't write things down. You need to write it down because then it commits to memory faster. But you need to write it down. So write down everything. Write down your goals, right? Write down what it is that you want to accomplish. And then write out a routine. First I get up, then I brush my teeth, then I jump in the shower, whatever it is, but write it out. Make a written plan. Follow the written plan. And after 2 weeks, it will be in your subconscious and you can do it from memory. You can do it from memory. But anyway, this is how it's done. There's no magic involved. Any human being can do this. Okay, you don't have to be smart to do this. You don't have to be gifted or talented or anything to do this. Okay, you don't have to be gifted or talented to make money. You don't have to be gifted or talented to establish a routine and follow it and be successful with it. You can be successful with it. You can be successful with anything. It takes application. So knowledge in itself, again, I'm going to reference knowledge because everybody thinks you have to have all this knowledge to do things. People think you have to have knowledge to be successful, that you have to have knowledge to do this, that, and the other thing. I know some stupid people that have lots of money, tons of money, and they're not very smart because you don't need to be smart to make money. You don't need it. Good morning, Garrett. You don't need to be smart to make money. I know some very stupid people that have a lot of money. A lot of money. Why? Why do they have a lot of money? Because they followed a plan. They put a plan in place. Okay? It's like a routine. They had a plan. They wrote it down. They followed the plan that they wrote down. Okay? And they followed it, and guess what? After they started following the plan started making money. It wasn't because they were super smart. It was because they followed structure. They had structure, they followed the plan, they followed everything, and it came out. So, there you go. That's the good news. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. You don't need to know how. The how is God's job. When I started my first company, I didn't know how. I just started it. When I started my second company, I didn't know how. I just did it. When I started my consulting company, my third company, I didn't know how. I just did it. When I started my record company, I didn't know how. My record label, I didn't know how. I just did it. As long as you pace yourself in the process, okay, that's what's important. You don't have to know how. You just have to pace yourself in the process. What does that mean? That means when you rush to do everything, okay, first of all, when you're rushing, you're not being grateful. Okay, when you rush, you take your time and think it out. Ask, believe, receive. That's how I did all of my companies. So the first thing you do is ask, how do I do this? You know, for me, it's Father God. I say Father God. Everybody has a different way of believing. I'm not here to tell you what to believe or how to believe. Hey, Ashley. So how do you do this type? You know, this how thing. Ask. You go in here to ask. You go in here to listen. So you go in here to ask, and then you go in here and listen. You stay in here and listen. Close your distractors like this. Okay, close your eyes. And you will feel the answer. The answer will show itself to you. I didn't always do it. Okay, so I made some big mistakes. You know, I told my third company, my consulting company, I told you guys on another live how I made the mistakes that I made. And it cost me some money. It cost me like almost $1,000 right off the bat, like the first day. So I printed up all my materials. I had the business cards printed, everything. I had the company name, everything, right? I did all the graphics, letterheads, envelopes, everything. And then my attorney came in my office one day, and I told him, I said, well, I'm starting this consulting company, this consulting firm. And he looked at it and he said, Voicemaster Advertising Consultants. He said, that sounds like a consultant company. A communications company. That's not good. And I was like, oh man. But I didn't know how. And I rushed into doing everything like that. I should have waited, right? If I was patient, I would have heard from my attorney, and then I would have taken action. But I just went into action. I just did it. So as a result, I had to dump everything. I had to get rid of everything. So I dumped almost $1,000 the first day of my consultant firm, okay? Because I had to change it. And then it was like, okay, well, you know, I was kind of salty, right? So I said, okay, instead of Voicemaster Advertising Consultants, I'm going to make it an acronym, VMAC Consultants. You can look us up. You can look us up. We're online. All of our work is online. It's on Instagram. It's on Facebook. We have an Instagram account. We have a Facebook account. All of our work is there. You can see what I do. We've done everything from marketing to product creation to events to like all sorts of things. It's all there. And my first client was a national chain. And I'm not flexing. I'm just saying you can do this too. But you don't need to know how. I didn't know how. And that's the mistake I made. Hopefully you don't make that kind of mistake. This is why I'm sharing with you. I'm sharing with you so that it won't happen to you. Okay, but just know that if you go in here and ask, and if you go in here believing, you will receive in here. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Ashley. So my consultant company helps people build businesses. Mostly I help entrepreneurs, like, you know, people that are just starting. You know, we build websites for them, we build sales funnels for them, we build systems for them. We do all of that stuff. And then we do creative. So we're like a full service consultant company. We consult on all levels of business. We do everything. We do advertising, all of that. But we started out as an ad agency. We were Hawaii's first social media ad agency. And we advertised for businesses on social media, and that's what we did. But I didn't know how. Okay, there were people who were in advertising for years and years and years, and they saw what I was doing, and they were like, what the heck is he doing? Because they knew I wasn't in advertising. They knew I wasn't in the industry. But there I was advertising. How did that happen? I went in here. It's called divine guidance. You can access divine guidance through the superconscious. There is the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. Your conscious mind makes the decision, okay, we're going to do a consulting company, okay? The subconscious is waiting for the instructions from the conscious mind. The conscious mind says, all right, consulting company. Subconscious goes, oh, consulting company? Okay, got it. And then it starts to give you ideas. And this is why yesterday we were saying to question the subconscious. So you ask the subconscious, why is it that I know how to consult on all levels of business? How is it that I can consult on all levels of business? And your subconscious begins to answer. It begins to give you solutions. It begins to point you in the right direction. It will give you ideas, intuitive thought, creativity, everything from the right hemisphere of the brain. And all you have to do is follow the intuition. You were born with infinite knowledge. Now you're going to have to take action on that knowledge. Some thought leaders sell you the idea that you don't have to take action. Well, guess what? A thought is action. Every thought can be measured in frequency. Every thought you think is an action that has a frequency, that produces a vibration. Every single action. So what did I learn? Well, I learned when I started my third company, the VMAC Consultants, I learned that, oh, okay, that's all I do when I start something. That's the process. Ask, believe, receive. That's the process. It works for every human being. Not every human being will trust it, right? Some human beings say, well, I got to go to college to learn how to do advertising. I got to go to college to learn how to do marketing. I have over 51,000 followers. 51,000 followers, a little bit over that, on Facebook. And my company, VMAC Consultants, did that. And this is the marketing that they do. But we didn't know how. We just went within, asked questions, received answers, and followed the answers. Like you can be in the middle of a shower, right? And you get that intuitive thought. Just out of the blue, out of nowhere, and you get that intuitive thought. Okay, follow up on that. Follow through on that. Take action on that intuitive thought, and it will serve you. Why don't more thought leaders give you everything? Why don't they tell you the answer for everything? Because they want to sell you the course. I have no course to sell. It's not about selling courses for me. The people that work with me pay me a lot of money to work with me, first of all. Secondly, they need me more than they need a course. They've been to college. They have multiple degrees. Some of my clients have more than 1 or 2 degrees. They have more than 1 or 2 degrees. And so it's not the degrees they need. It's not the knowledge that they need. It's the application that they need. Knowledge alone is nothing. You can be filled with knowledge up here and you can take it to the grave. You have a consulting model that you put on paper this week. You don't know. Yeah, I can help you with that. Sure. Send me a. Let's see. You're over there, so it's a message. Send me a message. Over here it's a DM. Over here it's it's a inbox. So just hit me up in the inbox. But that's what VMAC consultants do. We do stuff like she was asking me about starting a consulting business. But that's what VMAC Consultants does. We help people get started in the business world. So, and it's very affordable. I mean, now there's so many options that if you know what options, you can get services for free. So all people do is they pay me for my consultant time and we outfit them with everything. And if they need services, we have the services to provide them with. Anyway, but I'm not trying to make a commercial out of this. But anyway, so what's really important though is that you take time and you listen and hear. Okay, now women, the majority of my clients are women, always have been, always will be. Okay, because women are emotional creatures. What does it take to manifest things? You have to marry intention with emotion, okay? And this is why women can manifest faster than men. And when I talk to a woman on the creative level, they get me right away because they go, yeah, I had an idea like that. Because they get these ideas, right? They're emotional creatures. They can manifest a lot. They're also multitaskers, natural multitaskers. I try to multitask. I fail a lot with that because I can only hang for so long. Because I have a logic. I'm programmed for logic. Women are programmed for survival. Okay. Think about that, men. The next time you get in a relationship, she's hardwired for survival. Okay. Yeah, a lot of men think that, women just fall hopelessly in love with them, and then it doesn't turn out like that, does it? Okay, but anyway, they're hardwired for survival, and they can multitask because they're engineered to take care of young. They're engineered to be mama bears. And when you're a mama bear, you have to manifest for more than one person, right? You have to manifest for your babies. So they manifest like tons in different areas all at once. And they manifest like it just rains. It rains. It just comes in. It comes in volume. It comes in. Then what happens? Well, then all it takes is one thing to put them in a bad mood. One thing. And then guess what happens to the emotional brain? Ladies, pay attention. Guess what happens to the emotional brain? It starts to go into a negative spiral. It starts to go in a negative spiral. Because one negative thought, right? One negative idea planted in the imagination grows seeds, right? And it starts growing. Then you have, so one negative thought becomes two negative thoughts. Now she's thinking two negative thoughts, okay? Oops, there's a third one, okay, because she can do that. Now she's simultaneously focused on three negative thoughts. Meanwhile, what's happening? What does negativity do? It pushes things away. It holds things out here, okay? Because of the negativity, it holds things out here. And now what's going on? Well, now you have this energetic force field out here keeping everything from you, while everything in here is drying up. Now you're keeping money away. Now you're keeping opportunities away. Now you're keeping meetings away. Now you're keeping people away. Why? Because you're, quote, not feeling it, end quote. And this is the world of a woman. She's a feeling being. Men are feeling beings too, but we don't operate on our feelings. We don't operate from emotion. With a woman, it's all about how it feels. If she's feeling it on Monday and things are good, something happens on Wednesday and she's not feeling it anymore, everything will fall down. It depends how fast she can recover, right? And it's all about recovering from the glass half empty and pulling it around, okay? And I'm talking about perception, pulling it around to the glass half full. And how does that work? It's a mental exercise. It's something that they have to develop on their own. Okay, so we help them with that. And that's why a lot of my clients are women. You can go to the Google site and read the reviews. HereForYouLifeCoaching.com, Honolulu, Hawaii. And you can see what people say about us. And this works for every human being. The reason why I'm pointing out the way it works in women is because women are emotional, which is key. Because a lot of men, they tell me, like, how do I get emotional about something? How do I link emotion with intention? Because that's where you get manifestation like that. And I tell them you have to get excited about things. And the response I get from men a lot is like, Well, I'm trying to be excited about it, but I have no reason to be excited about it. How do I do that? And I'm like, use your imagination. Okay, women have outstanding imaginations. So this is why they manifest easily. They attract everything into their world. They attract men into their world. They attract homes into their world. They attract all kinds of stuff. Everything. Money, everything. Some of the best merchants I know are women. And the husbands work for them. A lot of them. And it's because of this manifestation process that they've really got down. It's because women can manifest easily, very easily. Money comes easily. If I see a woman that's having a money issue or having an abundance issue, I look for an emotional problem. That's what's going on. So if you're a lady and you're having trouble manifesting right now, ask yourself, how am I feeling? What are my feelings? Write it down. Write down how you're feeling. Write down what's making you feel bad. Because if things aren't happening, there's something going on that's making you feel bad. And that's the underlying current of what's holding things away from you. Once you identify it, you can fix it. Once you know what it is, you can do something about it. And it's always the opposite of what it is. Okay, write that down. It's always the opposite. If you're feeling down about something, identify what it is. What made you feel that way? Yeah, okay, you feel crappy, we get it. But what made you feel crappy? What was the first thing that made you feel crappy? What was that thought? Let's say it another way. What was that thought that you got that brought the emotion of not feeling well or not feeling good? Because when you identify what that is, now you have the answer. That's the answer. Now you can fix it because you start writing affirmations after whatever it is that didn't make you feel good, okay? So women are like this. Women manifest really fast, really easy. But it just takes one thing to go wrong. It just takes one bad thought, and then another bad thought, another bad thought. Now they're multitasking bad thoughts. Now fear sets in. What does fear do? Fear keeps everything like this away from you. Okay, so identify what that is, ladies. Write it down. And now you start writing affirmations against whatever it is. So if you were, let's say, I don't know, maybe there was a bill that's coming that you're afraid of. And now you notice that money's going out even before the bill comes. And now you're scared because you know when the bill comes, it's going to be even more money going out, right? Okay, now it's holding everything like this. It's holding everything like this. How do you change that? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. When you identify the cause, you focus all these 4 pillars against the cause. So opposite the cause. Whatever is making you feel bad, write the affirmation for whatever's opposite the cause. So if the cause is making you feel bad, write an affirmation for something that's opposite of that. And you have your answer. And then you're going to notice things will clear up. Then you're going to notice you start feeling good inside. And when you start feeling good inside, guess what happens? It all comes back. It all comes back, but it comes back in multiple ways, in multiple channels. Not just one way, not just one thing. Women multitask. It's the way they're designed. They're designed to be mama bears. So it'll come back. It will come back. And this is why, okay, there's a metaphor, right? Happy wife, happy life. There's a reason for that metaphor. The spiritual reason for that metaphor is if you keep her happy, you will enjoy the abundance that she brings. If you don't keep her happy, if you keep her frustrated, that abundance is going to be held out here away from you guys. That's why happy wife, happy life. Not because if she's in a good mood, she won't give you a hard time. That's a shallow interpretation of that. It's very shallow to look at life that way. That's not the way. A lot of men do that, right? They go, well, happy wife, happy life. I got to do it her way. No, that's not why though. There's a deeper meaning. And the deeper meaning is because when she is happy, she will manifest on multiple things at the same time, and both of you will live in abundance. Because abundance is your birthright. That's what we're talking about today. Abundance as your birthright. What's the role of the subconscious in all of this? Okay, the subconscious is like fertile soil, okay? So whatever beliefs that you plant, whatever ideas, beliefs that you plant in repetition, grow into your reality. And you can plant the seeds today, and maybe it might not grow into fruition until next year or next month or 6 months from now. You see? But if you have ideas of scarcity, if you have beliefs, let's say beliefs that money is hard to get, money is hard to come by, I have to work hard for money. If you believe those things, you're keeping money out here. You're doing this. You're holding money away, keeping money away from you. If your subconscious believes in abundance, it's going to attract opportunities for you. And all it has to do is believe in abundance. That's it. You can write your affirmation. Here's a pen, okay? I am so happy and grateful now that I live in abundance. Thank you. Abundance is a mindset. That's why this is called mindset coaching. That's what I do. I do mindset coaching for professionals. I have doctors, I have nurses, I have lawyers, I have CEOs. They know how to do things, but they need structure. Okay, and they normally have structure. My CEO was journaling long before I met him. But now that I've been working with him, his entire company has turned around. Your subconscious cannot judge. Okay, that's another thing. It can't judge. It simply accepts what you feed it, what you tell it. Okay, so here's these are dates here, and then I do my affirmation, and I'm about that much into this one. Okay, and this is when I finished, and this looks like this. I know it looks crazy, right? These are affirmations. Okay, write these every day. Do this every day. Okay, every day. And everything comes easier. Okay, nobody has an easy life. I don't have an easy life. I have challenges. Okay, but I sit here for 1 hour every morning to show you guys how. No charge. This is free. Just take notes, because everything I tell you will work for you. My subconscious doesn't know if I'm talking to me right now or if I'm talking to you right now. So if I'm giving you the wrong information, guess what? What goes around comes around right away in the subconscious. And it will happen to me too. Okay? Because what goes around comes around. But it goes around, and it comes around from your subconscious. You ever see those people that are stuck in a negative loop? They keep doing bad stuff. They keep being critical of people. And then look at the way they think about themselves. Look at the way they view themselves, right? Because they're so critical, right? Look at the way they treat themselves. They start to see themselves in a bad light. They start to feel bad about themselves. Why? Because of the constant judging of others, the judgment of others. So if you want to feel better about yourself, start praising other people. Start saying good things about other people. If you catch yourself saying something bad, okay, we did this on another live quite a while back, so I'll mention it again. End with something good, because your subconscious believes the last thing it hears. So if you have a friend George or something, I'll use the name George for an example. Okay, but let's say you're talking about George and you go, George is a dummy. And if you catch yourself saying something like that, right, it's not a good thing, right? So follow it up with something good about George. Yeah, George is a dummy, but man, he's always there for me though. He's always there for me, and I love him. He's my friend, but yeah, like that. And you end it with something good. I mean, he's a dummy, but you know what? He's always been there for me. I love the guy. Boom. There you go. Problem solved. That is not going to bring you bad karma at all. Okay, now karma isn't really karma in the way that we understand it, but I don't have enough time to go into it today. But we'll do a live about karma. We did one, I think last week sometime. But we'll do it again. But just know that everything that you say, everything that you do, everything that you taste, everything that you watch, everything that you're involved in goes into your subconscious. The book of life is in here, in your subconscious. And it begins to affect your life, either negatively or positively, depending on your actions. Now, if you're doing positive stuff, you're going to feel good about yourself. If you're helping others, you're going to feel good about yourself. If you're giving to others, you're going to feel good about yourself. If you're doing the opposite and you're doing bad stuff to others, you're going to feel bad about yourself. Why? Because you're doing it. You will judge yourself. Okay. I know religion tells you that God judges and God punishes, and I'm here to say no. I'm here to say no, it doesn't happen that way. We punish ourselves through our actions, through the subconscious. Because once we start doing bad stuff, it's all recorded in here, in the book of life, in your subconscious. Then what happens? Then your subconscious starts making you do it again and again and again, and pretty soon you're miserable. Pretty soon you have no confidence in yourself. Pretty soon you have no self-esteem. Pretty soon you just sweep yourself under the rug. Nobody has to do it for you. You will do it to yourself, because God does not punish. God is love. God is 100% love, 1000% love. What about karma? Yeah, so we'll cover that another day. But karma is not the way that people say it is. Like, you do this, you do something bad, you're going to get something bad happen to you. It's not the karmic way. The explanation is not like that. It happens to the subconscious. So when you do bad stuff to others, you start feeling bad about yourself. And then bad things happen, because like attracts like, and then you start attracting negative things, and then you're like thrust into negativity. That's basically why. Okay, so it's 8 o'clock, and Jay has said see you tomorrow, so I gotta go. It's a day of clients for me. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you guys have a great Saturday, a great weekend, and we'll see you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Hawaii time. Thank you, Costas. Thank you for liking the live. Thank you for sharing the live, you guys. Thank you. And we're going to end our stream.